got my audio generator going through a 110 picofarad cap into the coil, out of the coil to my scope. Across the primary of the coil, I've got the variable cap, and across the secondary of my coil, I've got the variable cap. Now what we're going to try to do is we're going to adjust the cap, the variable cap, for maximum output. Okay, it looks like it might be right there. Okay, so let's measure these two and see what we come up with. Okay, so my two caps are a 73 picofarad and a 103 picofarad. Okay, the two caps I have in stock are a 100 picofarad and an 82 picofarad. That should be close enough. Okay, let's hook the scope back up here. And we have our generator. Okay, let's turn on some cameras here. Okay, I've got the cap soldered in. I'm just checking it out to make certain that we have a signal through. And I'm adjusting my generator, and my generator is 484. And we can see the frequency counter up here at 484. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that number down. And we should be able to pull that in by adjusting those coils. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, we've got our first IF can done and the capacitors installed. Now let's work on our second one. Okay, I've got my generator hooked up to the input of this IF coil and this variable capacitor in parallel with that. The output is hooked to the variable capacitor, and my scope is hooked through that 100 picofarad capacitor to what I'm going to assume is ground. Now, as I adjust my generator, I'm at 455 right now, That's 470. That's peak at 446. So let's go back to 455 and let's adjust the variable capacitors and see if we can't tune this in. This is the input capacitor. This is the output capacitor. Okay, that looks pretty close right there. So now going back to my generator, if I tune to 460, it drops off. Back up, 455, down to 440, and it drops off. So we're right at 455 there. So let's measure the capacitors and put those in. Since I had everything removed from the chassis, I thought it'd be a good time to try out the new can of paint that I found. I taped up the tube sockets and the wires, the control knobs and the transformer, and then gave it its first coat of paint. After about 10 minutes, I proceeded to give a second coat of paint. I didn't want too much of the crackle to show, but I wanted enough to give it the old-time look on a chassis. Well, the chassis is dried, and it turned out really nice. I'm really happy with that color. Looks really good. Got a little bit thicker here, but it doesn't matter for this. So let's get on to the transformers. Okay, the transformers are in place. What I did was I had actually made a mistake on this first transformer here. The coils are like this, with this being the input and this being the output. I had the caps like this. I soldered them in incorrectly. So what I did was I pulled them off and soldered them back on again. Now, if you can see, we have our caps in here, and we're ready to hook up the wires. So let me do that, and I'll get right back to you. This ends part 3. In part 4, we'll go ahead and hook up all the components back to the radio and do an alignment, give it a check out, and we'll go from there. If you found this video useful or entertaining, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and don't forget to click on the bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching.